Hi, I'm Dr. Chris Deasy.
And I'm Sadgun.
I'm an expert in the study of religion.
And I'm a secondary school student.
We're here to ask questions like, where does faith and religion come from?
Why do people believe in a higher power?
And why do a lot of people have no religion?
Spirituality, science, conflict.
Society and life after death.
We'll be exploring all of this in
Generation Y. In this episode, we're looking at the relationship between religion, spirituality, and science.
So do you think religion can be linked to our brain?
Well, my research shows religious belief is heavily influenced by family and culture, and that there is currently no scientific proof that there's any part of our brain which makes us more likely to be religious.
Personally, I think you're born into the religion that you're following, like I was born into Hinduism. What about people who say they've actually seen something which can't be fully explained by science?
Well, something like a near-death experience, which is when your body is dead, but your mind is still active. People who say they've had one often have life-changing visions, sometimes claiming they've seen angels or spoken to a god.
These experiences can also be linked to our dreams, and Alex has been to find out more.
Could you tell me a little bit about yourself and your research?
Yes, I'm Kate Adams and I'm a Professor of Education at Leeds Trinity University. My research is into children and young people's spirituality.
What do you think young people need to know about religious experiences?
Well, from my own research, I've heard young people tell me about dreams they've had. For example, a Christian girl spoke about a big wall and a wall in the middle. She described it to me saying, I was sitting on the side of the wall, which was a war zone with other people. Then I jumped over the wall. The other side of the wall was nice and peaceful. Then I sat down with God in a circle and started praying while the battle carried on the other side of the wall. So I asked her, why do you think you had this dream? And she said it was a special dream that I had to remember. So I asked her why she thought that she needed to remember it. And she replied, because it might be a prediction of the future that God would be trying to make this world peaceful. Now, in my research, I've also heard about imaginary or invisible friends, children seeing angels, remembering past lives, even when they don't come from a tradition which believes in reincarnation. And they've described encounters as well with deceased loved ones. But what does this all mean? Well, I think it tells us a lot about that there may well be more to life than meets the eye.
I personally think that dreams can be really significant. I've had a few where I thought I saw something like an angel or something in my dreams.
If, for example, somebody has a very powerful spiritual dream, a neuroscientist would say, well, the dream you've just had, it's a result of neurons firing in your brain, and they're firing randomly. And then when we wake up, our brain automatically puts a story around that. Now, if you ask the same question to a psychoanalyst, they would say nothing you dream about is random. All these range of things which are embedded in many of the world's religions, both ancient and living, and yet so often just dismissed as imagination.
So we can all have spiritual experiences unique to us, but does that mean all living, breathing things who think and feel have spirituality or even a soul?
Well, there's certainly been research into chimps performing rituals and elephants coming together to mourn in a similar way to a funeral.
To learn more, we met a spiritual healer for animals called Anthea before I had my very own animal adventure.
These lovely ladies have been rescued from the illegal pet trade, and this is a sign from Barbary macaques of trust and peace, and I'm not threatening you. Within my healing work, there's lots of spiritual aspects, which starts from the foundation of energy. Science has looked into the cells and to the atoms and looked into protons and neutrons, and they've just found that everything is just little swirls, cones of energy swirling. So it's kind of science and spirituality kind of combine. And when your intent is good, an animal will know. As a spiritual healer for animals, you can actually feel what they're feeling. It's called somatic feeling. You feel it within your body. We're now going to be meeting the Javan langurs. They're also known by some people as Javan lutungs. We have a lead male who is Ginger. His name is Wheat. There he comes. There's a good boy. Last year they lost the second lead male in this troop, who was Wheat's best friend. They would run around the enclosure and come together and have a big hug. He couldn't eat for 7 days and he had nobody to hug. Now Treacle, she lost an eye in this time. Eventually they came together and they now are found hugging. These guys are a really good example of a primate showing love and sharing emotion and being supportive of each other.
Horses are said to be spiritual creatures and animals, so I've come to a stable in Kent along with my brother Yashwir.
Hi.
To meet Lillian and Robbie the horse to talk about spirituality
And the importance of animals in Hinduism.
Robbie is 18 years old. We've had him here since he was 5, but his favourite thing is to eat, especially apples and carrots.
So do you think Robbie has a soul?
As you can see, he's very, very calm. The horse's eye is the window to his soul, and I would say from that, Robbie has a really lovely soul because he is a really nice horse.
In our religion, in Hinduism, animals are very well respected and they have very great significance as well. They're just innocent beings in nature that God has created. In ancient texts, Lord Surya, our sun god, we believe that he rides in a chariot that is pulled by 7 horses. And we believe those 7 horses are really strong and powerful, and they signify the 7 days a week, the 7 chakras of yoga, and the 7 colours of rainbow, showing their importance.
So there's a god called Hayagriva who has a horse head. We worship Lord Hayagriva, who gives us power for concentration in our studies and who lets us do a lot of stuff and remember a lot of things. Do you feel like you have a connection with Robbie, which could be considered spiritual?
I'm not sure about spiritual, but I understand their body language. I can see when they move their ears, perhaps when they're in pain, when they're happy. My other horse that I had a real connection with him, and he would know when I arrived at the yard. When he died, it was one of the worst things in my life. Horses can be a little bit frightening because, as you can see, he's rather large, isn't he?
At first I thought he was very large, but now because we're talking to each other and I see how Robbie is, I feel like he's really kind and gentle.
I also felt very scared at first because he's a humongous horse. I've never been close to a horse as well, but now I feel much more relaxed because he's not really angry at all.
You know, you give to them love and they give that love back to you.
Something else is a supernatural and ghosts.
I think many people believe in their existence, but again, it's very hard, almost impossible, to prove scientifically.
I myself am quite superstitious and find ghosts very scary.
Well, we called on Alex to investigate paranormal activity in Nottingham.
What is it exactly that you guys believe in?
I mean, we don't believe on the fact of the religious side or the spiritual side. We believe that there is something after. We don't just die and that's it, because you can't kill energy. And we are built up of energy. Energy can't be destroyed. But we investigate by science.
Yes.
That's the way we investigate. We do it by the scientific side with the equipment and things like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we do have a lot of skeptics.
We've come up to the doll room and we're going to try and get a bit more paranormal activity up here.
I've got a REM pod, but with this one, the spirit has to be touching the aerial. Yeah. So if I put that there, they don't actually have to be touching it. So shall we see if we can get the spirits to touch that?
Sure.
If there's anyone here with us, wants to communicate with us, come forward.
I seen something in the corner of my eye over there. Like when you said the shadow people before. how it shows like a shadow. I think that's what I've seen, like in
shadow.
the corner of my eye.
And what would you say to people who are like skeptical and think, oh well, it's just the machine?
Okay, they were mad at you then. They were like, no.
I think that was just proving a point. Is like,
Yeah, 'cause it went to the purple as well.
As soon as you mentioned skepticism, it decided hello.
Yeah. I came here already superstitious, but I feel like I definitely am leaving a lot more superstitious than I was before.
As of right now, I feel like more attracted towards the side of spirituality and spirits being like real and around us. Yeah, I feel a lot more.
No,
They like that answer.
it likes what you've just said there.
I'm feeling quite excited, and I love the fact that it's opened your minds up.
We just got the words Harry and muscle and place.
We've had Harry in here before. It's your own personal choice, just like your beliefs. Okay, that's you, Harry. Stop the lights if it's Harry. It's not Harry. Or it might be.
Bit of a delay, that was all.
It's kind of weird. I feel like there's something here, but I don't know what. I feel like a presence, and I keep feeling it to this side of me. It's not touching, it just feels like...
You can feel it.
Yeah.
That's where you saw the shadow though, wasn't it?
Yeah, around the corner of the room, yeah.
Are you going to say goodbye to us by lighting the lights for us? Please?
Are you wanting us to stay?
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Pretty spooky stuff, Chris.
Yes, but what's real and what's not? Are we programmed to believe in gods, spirits, and ghosts? We're going to be discussing this and more in our group chat. Welcome back to Generation Y,
In this episode's group chat, we went to Birmingham's Talcross Academy.
where I was joined by AI expert Matt, Siberian shaman Marushka, Carissa, who's a psychologist of religion, and our very own Alex was also on the panel.
I then spoke to 4 students from the school.
We talk about humans, but the role of animals, do we overlook the role that animals play in faith?
It's hard to say whether even humans have souls, especially, particularly. You know, what is the definition of a soul? And I think you would say the same for animals. So is it just thinking that means that you have a soul? Or is it how you kind of have intelligence, or how you interpret your experiences, right? So it's a really difficult question to answer.
Marushka, I don't know in terms of shamanism, you know, whether the role of animals plays a significance.
Shamanism is an animistic practice, so it means that everything has a spirit. We don't use the word soul. Everything is made from energy. Being a shaman is being able to feel all those energies, all those spirits, and deal with them.
Alex, we were watching you in a haunted museum.
Yeah.
So that whole thing about being superstitious, are we allowed to be superstitious anymore? Does that kind of fit with a scientific kind of way of looking at the world?
I've kind of always been a little bit superstitious. I've had stuff happen in my life where I've kind of believed in maybe there's like a higher power, or there's like spirits, or there's a ghost. But definitely going to that haunted museum and actually experiencing it in like the professional way of using like EMF readers, it was definitely really eye-opening.
All this talk about ghosts and angels and dreams, you know, is this all a load of nonsense?
I don't know if I would say that everything like this is a load of nonsense. I think I'm really interested here in how we explain things to ourselves. Why are there these phenomena that we don't have a good answer for? And there are absolutely gaps in science, gaps in psychology.
Alex, when you had your experience at the museum, that affected you. So that experience was real because it had an effect on you, right? So I'm not making any truth claims about what you saw, but I am able to say that your experience was real.
I have to ask this question, Matt, about whether technology might be replacing religion, and could we end up with a kind of almost online afterlife, our souls being uploaded somewhere? Is that the kind of future we can envisage?
I don't think that we've seen a correlation between the rise of the internet and the decline of religion. In fact, people are thinking more openly and are in touch with more communities around the world than ever before. As to whether we might then continue our lives online, it depends what we mean by life. If life is your sense of having a body and having a thought, and that is able to be described as the electrical impulses in your brain, and then we can also replicate those electrical impulses in a computer, sure, we can live forever, because eventually we'll have computers powerful enough to do that. But is that really what makes us human? It is the kind of like wetware, the messy kind of brain stuff that we have inside us special in some way, and I think that that's something that we don't have an answer to yet.
Please tell me your name, age, and the question for the panel today.
Hi, my name is Fatima. I'm 12 years old. I wanted to ask something for Alex. Like, when you were at the museum, did you feel like a cold presence, or was it like an eerie one?
It did feel a little bit cold, and at first I thought it was the window that was open, because there was a window in the back. But I looked at the window wasn't open, the heating was on. And the room is already cold in itself, but I felt like something cold on my shoulder. And then it also felt like a gust of wind go past me, and I thought it was nothing. And then Thomas said that he saw something. So then I kind of realised that I felt a presence.
Hi, my name is Sky and I'm 12 years old. And can robots become religious?
That question of why do we want robots to be like us, I think is a really important question. Why do we want to build artificial intelligences in our image rather than building them as being very, very good at doing something new, something that is unique? Why do we actually have to model them after us? That said, if we are going to make robots to be exactly like human beings have a tendency to be religious, therefore I presume that robots will have a tendency to be religious as well.
Robots are currently being used in various religious practices, so it's hard to say whether those robots themselves are religious. Probably most people would argue against that, but they're being used in religious contexts, such as doing rituals. You have a phenomenon of robo-priests and things like this that you can kind of, and people chatting with AI about religious topics, right? So you have AI being used in that way. You have robots being used in that way now, but whether or not you actually would classify them as being religious, they're being used in a religious context. They're existing in that context. But it kind of depends on what we mean by them actually being religious.
And who knows? Maybe one day we'll have somebody on this panel who'll be an AI creation, or who knows?
My name's Luke and I'm 12. Do all animals have spirits?
Everything has a spirit because everything was created from energy. We are created as the table with atoms. And atoms, life is movement. Atoms, they move, so they create energy. Energy is a spirit.
Having animals myself in the past, you can definitely see it in them, that they feel something. And I also feel like they can kind of be with you in the afterlife, and they're with you and they can guide you, and they give you little signs of like they're there and they're following you. So I definitely feel like they do.
I'm 12 years old, and will AIs take over the world?
It kind of already has, in the artificial intelligence is part of everything that we do every day. Takeover suggests some kind of malicious intent and also our not being in control. So it's really interesting that with the new kinds of AI that are emerging, things like ChatGPT, the researchers that have made them don't really know how they work. And they call this a black box technology. They know the information going in, they know the information coming out, they don't quite know how it's getting there yet. And so this is an area that we might call AI security or AI ethics. And the worry here is if we don't know how these artificial intelligences are functioning, if they go out onto the internet, if they are able to self-replicate, and if you say, hey AI, I've got £10, can you turn it into £1,000 for me? And then you just let it do its thing. Is there the potential then for it to start making copies of itself, to be replicating, to be going into different parts of our systems, and for us to not understand how it is working and doing these things? What if it becomes more intelligent than us? How are we then able to control it? If it becomes a superhuman intelligence, we are not there yet. And I think that's really important to emphasize.
Most of us, we want an easy life. So robots, they're welcome just to do things for us. But my question is, what about the future? Do you want just to have some food and just to enjoy life, some holidays, but everything is driven by robots? For me, it's not funny.
I'm kind of scared, to be honest, because I've seen like stuff on the news about how AI can interpret people's voices and it's being used to scam like your family members out of money. And that just sounds terrifying to me. Like if AI can do that now, what can it do in 20 years? Can it impersonate a whole human?
Do you think animals are capable of holding feelings and sharing feelings with humans?
I think that animals sometimes have a certain connection with humans, and it's all like based on how you treat them and how they feel about you.
For me, I do believe that people have connections with animals and certain animals that people come close with.
Animals definitely have some sort of connection to humans, because if you do something to make them happy, the dog obviously wags the tail or something to show their affection towards you.
You see that animals get attached to their owners and they also show affection for their owners.
So we've been talking about ghosts, so why do you think we're scared of ghosts?
I feel like some people believe ghosts have bad intentions, but then also you do have spirits that are either here for good or bad things. So I think some people just mix that and then they all think that everything's just bad, that they shouldn't express themselves to that.
I'm not sure what my religion thinks about a ghost, but since young I've never watched a horror movie either, and that is the reason I've not gone to the haunted museum part as well, because I was just too afraid to go there.
I think that ghosts are seen as bad because they're always perceived as bad creatures or bad beings.
Some people may be scared of them just because they haven't experienced it for themselves and they don't know the full potential that they hold or what it actually is there.
So one thing we've talked about is dreams. Have you ever had a dream and do you feel like there's a connection and a hidden meaning? How far do you think that is correct?
For me, I've had very many dreams that have actually been warnings or signs and that have actually come true, and to some extent. But yes, I do think dreams have very many connections, because I've gone weeks where I've had really bad dreams, or 1 week where I've had completely good dream. And I think they're just warning or symbols.
I think the dreams reflect your mood and emotions through how you were feeling the following day.
I think that dreams could give us guidance on the day. So if you have a bad week, it would give you guidance for the next week.
And another question that was asked on the panel was about artificial intelligence. Do we need to be scared or happy that artificial intelligence is growing?
I think that to an extent there should be some sort of awareness of it because of how strong or no one actually understands the full potential of artificial intelligence, but it is also a help for some.
I think that artificial intelligence is helpful, but I think there should be a limit on how much it could do because it could overtake.
I think we should be scared, but to an extent, because obviously it's been very helpful, and I think in the future we'll be able to help with more things. But then again, there's the other side where people are not really sure how it's working and what's going on.
Do you think at this point science and religion work together, or do they always conflict?
Right now, I think science and religion, sometimes it's obviously collides and it doesn't really work. But then also with the Big Bang Theory, I don't think everything can just happen like that. There has to be something that's created it.
I think to an extent they do work together, but also they do conflict in some aspect.
We've been talking about ghosts, we've been talking about AI, we've been talking about animals. So what do you think makes us human?
I think obviously our energy we built up on and our soul, but I think what good we've put out is obviously going to mix with our energies and create us to be who we are.
We really could have kept going. And what wonderful thoughts too from students at the school.
But that's it for now. We'll have more to talk about next time on Generation Y.